Now 5:30. So at this time, I'm going to call the meeting to order. This is the March 28th, 2022 Palm Springs Park and Recreation Commission meeting, starting at 5:32.
Oh, I'm trying to get Jody to transfer over. Jody, click on where it says promote to panelist. Go ahead and do that. Or are you on here? No, she's not on here. Here she comes. Okay. Sorry, Jerry. I was missing
Okay.
a commissioner.
It's all good. Jody in? Okay, she's in now. All right, so at this time, let's start the commission meeting. So it's March 28th, 2022, Palm Springs Park and Recreation Commission meeting. Call to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah, let me share my screen and then we will watch the James O. Jesse group do the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the republic, nation, indivisible, liberty and justice. Yeah.
That's right. Awesome. So at this time, Jeannie, I'm going to ask you if you can
Nice
do-
of them to wait for us.
At this time, Jeannie, I'd like to ask if you can do roll call, ma'am.
Yes. Chair Alcorn,
Present.
Vice Chair Coladonato,
I'm here.
Chair, Commissioner Crawford,
Here.
Commissioner Diaz,
Here.
Commissioner Finland,
Present.
Commissioner Goodman is absent, Commissioner Meyer,
I'm here. Thank you.
Commissioner Moralia,
Here.
Commissioner Spellman.
Present.
Excellent.
Awesome. So report of posting of the agenda.
The agenda was posted as required by law on March 23rd.
Thank you, ladies. Can I get has everybody had a chance to look over the minutes? Can I get a motion to approve the minutes, please?
Motion.
Thank you, Michael. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, everybody. All right. Approval of minutes. We're gonna roll right through this one today. Correspondence.
Do you want to do, hold on, we need to take a roll call. Were we doing the minutes on that one or the, do as acceptance of the agenda, right? We just did, which one were we doing?
Approval of the minutes for February 28th minutes.
Okay, and I was motioned by Michael Finland and then seconded, I had Jody Diaz.
Perfect.
I heard several.
Perfect.
Let's do roll call. Here we go. Chair Alcorn,
Approved.
Vice Chair Coladonato,
Approve.
Commissioner Crawford,
Approved.
Commissioner Diaz,
Approve.
Commissioner Finland,
Approved.
Commissioner Meyer,
Approved.
Commissioner Moralia,
Approved.
Commissioner Spellman.
Approved.
Great.
Great job, everybody. Cool. This part of the meeting is open for correspondence from, do we have any public comment? Anybody's written in?
We do. We've got two people scheduled for public comment. If anyone else wants to give public comment, you can hit the raise hand feature on the screen and I will see it. And then I will call your name. And then any correspondence that came in gets gathered together. It all gets emailed to you. You all get any email correspondence, and then it's included in the next month's packet. So first up, I have Jim Gazan, and I'm going to allow you to speak. And so here you go. And then just unmute yourself. And
Hello,
Jerry, what's our time
Commissioner.
limit here? 3 minutes? 3 minutes.
3 minutes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Hello, commissioners. You can hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. I think you guys do about as good of a job butchering the Pledge of Allegiance as we do at Measure J. So congratulations. My name is Jim Gazan. I'm on the Measure J Commission, and I'm also calling on behalf of Mary Barcelow, who is currently on a flight. And she's also the U.S. Pickleball Ambassador to Palm Springs. And we spoke and share the same opinion on this issue. We are not in favor of a back wall that is proposed at the pickleball courts at Demuth Park. We're not even sure where that request came from. We realize that a wall that is planned would be pushed back a few feet from where the chain link currently is and meets supposedly indoor standards for indoor courts. But also keep in mind, most indoor pickleball courts also have padded walls. A concrete or block wall opens the city to way too much liability. It is also a very unpopular idea with the greater pickleball community. Council has now realized this, and apparently I guess they are releasing a survey for people to weigh in. From a Measure J perspective, I scratched my head at the cost of this project and how quickly it was approved and funded. As you guys are all well aware, our two commissions have worked to fund so many issues regarding parks and that are way much more pertinent than this wall. And Measure J has a laundry list a mile long of capital improvements and citizen wish lists that we can barely scratch the surface. Yet an unnecessary wall at the cost of $341,000 gets approved with little scrutiny or research. So we suggest the following, and that is to curtail this wall project and put the smart money on the following. One, add heavy duty windscreens around the perimeter, not like what is on one side today, the heavy stuff that you'll see at Freedom Park in Palm Desert. They're so thick that they actually protect the players if you run into them, and they actually block the wind, obviously, and noise. Number two, add 4 more courts in place of the last tennis court at Demuth. These tennis court that you take away could be added at Ruth Hardy Park, and I think you'll get some sympathy from council on that. 3, resurface and replace worn nets on all the courts. 4, upgrade the lighting. If this is accomplished, your commission will be hailed as heroes. Let's create a true pickleball center that we can be proud of and will accommodate the growing number of residents and visitors that enjoy this sport and spend the $341,000 wisely. I appreciate and respect your dedication to this commission and everything that you guys do. Jeannie, I believe this is a temp position for you, and I really hope they find a replacement soon for Cynthia. No one human should have to handle as much as you take on. Again, I really thank you for your time and consideration on this issue.
Thank you, James.
Okay, and oh, I see one more person, but right now we've got David Feltzman. Let me switch out the roles here. Just a moment.
Did all the commissioners, did everybody see all the email correspondence from the city, from the different people writing in? Pickleball's a major thing for us. I would love to get this facility going, but let's just want everybody to be aware.
So David Feltman, you will have 3 minutes to talk.
Okay, so thank you. Good evening, commissioners. Let me just say briefly with regard to what Mr. Gazan just said, I agree with everything except the proposal that was submitted to Measure J was for 12 courts. Hopefully it will be on the high side of the 12, not the low side of 4, but that's a matter for another day and the council and negotiations and all that stuff. But in the meantime, I've spent a lot of time on this since the last Parks and Recs Commission meeting, and really digging in to all of the documentation of this. I wish I was on a regular Zoom. I could show you. I have about a half a foot of paper that I've printed out of the RFP for the bid of the wastewater treatment plant scope of work document, a whole host of reports. I mean, it's about 300 pages and I've read them all. And sadly, the two most important issues were barely dealt with. Safety of the players. There was no safety engineer assessment anywhere in any document related to the safety of the players, neither an assessment or a statement about the need to have an assessment of the safety of this kind of block wall for the players. That is shocking to me and really sad. The second thing is around the smell issue. The city continues in various ways to put out the notion that smell will be alleviated by this wall. Yet particularly the RFP, which is the document by which we put out to bid to build this wall, there is not even the word smell or odor in that RFP. So how can a bidder bid on a project to alleviate smell and to provide a response that will fulfill that mission that's in the staff reports, but never mentioned anywhere in the RFP? I mean, I think this is just a boondoggle of a project that's kind of completely gone off the rails, that, as Mr. Gazan said, nobody really dug into this. And I'm not saying you guys here. I think this was frankly some sort of relationship deal between the wastewater treatment department and somebody in some other department of the city. Like the interests of the community were not really addressed anywhere. And that's why I read those 200 pages to really see what's been sort of considered. Was there technical engineering assessments and solutions proposed for these two major things? No. And so I think so the survey is in place, it's out there. My time is up. I thank you for your consideration. I just hope the dialogue around the outcome of that survey is meaningful, because at this point, I think the community would really appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Feltzman.
Okay, and we've got one more for sure. T. Santoro.
Hi.
You have 3 minutes and your time starts now.
Thanks. I presume that this Zoom is operating efficiently, because I don't see any of the speakers except you all. So I just wanted to say that I was very disappointed to see that the survey was released without the promised coming back to the ad hoc committee to take a look at it. And I've already submitted to you, Jeannie, some of my comments on it. You've got that already. I don't know if did you share it with the commission?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Well, hopefully you'll be able to take some action on it. I realize you're obviously not in control of everything that's going on here, but somebody submitted one of the questions and the answers, which is completely biased and clearly shows that they are already committed to building this ridiculous wall. The way that the answer was posed was more opinion than fact. And if it wasn't so sad, it would be laughable. So if you haven't taken a look at that, it's question number 11. It talks about how a wall is going to block smell, which is just patently absurd. But it also makes a comparison between a chain link fence and a wall being equally safe, which is also patently false, and it just doesn't make any sense. I'm not sure who would have put that in there, but if it wasn't one of you, then you really need to take a look at who's staffing these things. I also noticed, because the link that I was sent didn't work for the Zoom, so I went on the city's webpage to get in that way. That's why I was a little bit late. But apparently the survey is up there on the webpage for everybody to see. So I'm not sure if it's too late to correct this survey, but it really is unfair to put that survey out the way it is to the public and expect to get realistic answers. It's just not right. I'm very surprised, and it's very disingenuous of whoever put that out there. So I just wanted to say that the wall is a debacle. I was just recently up in Napa County, and I just wanted to bring it to your attention. There is a fence service that is up there, and it's called acoustiblock.com. That's ACOUSTIBLOK.com. And they are a company that was used by the city of Yountville to surround their walls. It not only reduces sound, but it is padding, and maybe that's what Jim was referring to, but it is available if anyone wants to follow up on that, if in fact it's not too late to make this thing right. So that's it. I hope you all take the time to contact whoever's responsible for not only the survey, but this project.
Thank you, sir, for your time.
1 moment. Any others wish to give public comment? I don't see any other hands raised.
In Publix.
I think that's it.
All right. Where I put everything. For that being done, that's the public comment section. Sorry, guys, I moved everything around. All right. So that's public comment. Let's go to staff updates.
So Dawn is here and I am here. Who do you want to go first?
Whichever one would like to.
I'll go first and then Dawn can jump on.
Perfect.
I'm going to share my screen real quick. Again, these are just my notes so that when you're that our commission meetings are on YouTube, so you can go back and look if there's something that you missed or wanted to go back and review any slides or anything like that. I've got slides related to these. The first one is you had asked for an update on the Demuth Dog Park Land and Water Conservation Fund grant application. It's not dead. So the grant application is still being reviewed by the National Park Service. We did get a report back on March 22nd from the state grant administrators, and the National Park Service is currently reviewing pending California projects. So I wanted you all to know that all is not lost on that grant application. Just hang in there. Here's a rendering that I got from a 2020 presentation showing the dog park. And again, you can press pause. You can go back and watch this video, press pause, look at it if you like. And Dawn might mention this, but you are invited to the groundbreaking ceremony for the next segment of the CV link. And that is tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. at Demuth Park. And it's, this is right near the dog park also. I have to give a shameless plug to the library, but Parks and Rec is participating too. Our annual Family Fun Fest is back for the library. We do this in the Palm Springs Stadium, the first Wednesday of spring break for Palm Springs Unified School District. It's from 9 to 12 and it's completely free. All the kids are going to get a free book. They're going to get all kinds of goodies. We've got I don't know, 20 organizations or more. We've got a ton of community groups that are coming, and they'll have booths and games and activities for children. So we're also going to have Mix 100.5 there doing a radio roadshow. It's a great time for families. Come on out and have a great morning on the Wednesday, April 13th. I always got to put this plug in here because we've got indoor pickleball, indoor air conditioning. Well, Demuth almost. It's covered. So be sure to come and check out indoor pickleball. Parks and Rec is doing their spring camp during spring break, 2 weeks of fun for children. This one is at the Leisure Center. It's for preschoolers, TK, transitional kindergarten through 8th grade. And then James O. Jesse has their spring break camp as well for grades K through 8. Archery is very popular. The March session is completely full, right, Jerry?
Yes, ma'am.
Having a great time with archery. We even have an intermediate course starting April 6th. So these are the April dates, April 6th through the 27th. Our intro to street hockey session was highly well attended, right? Were you there?
Yes. Yes, filled.
So we're doing it again in April, on April 6th. Wednesdays are our early release days for school kids. So those times are great for kids. We've also got the Come Ride With Us, Jerry. I've seen tons of promotion on social media about this, and Jerry's got a wish list on Amazon if you'd like to support this program to help buy needed supplies for the bike tune-ups. We've got kids fitness classes. These are some of the things that we've had in here before, so I'm not going to talk about them all, but I'm putting them in the video so you can push pause and learn more. Oh, and Jody and I danced at the 1 PS neighborhood picnic with the Soul Line group, and that was so much fun. And I know the Youth Encouragement Program, they've written a grant and are trying to get some, it's District 4 county funds to help with supporting this program. And then we're always talking about summer. So summer camp is on its way. And that's what I have to share. And one thing I wanted to add was that I'm learning that City Council is going to go back in person starting in April. So they will have the gallery open and the council on the dais. So that might lead us at some point to our commissions going in person, but I haven't heard anything about that yet. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. And they're still doing the job recruitment for the director.
Awesome. Great report. Thank you. Any questions for Jeannie? We got a lot of activities. I just got to say, we got a lot of activities and programs going on for our community. You know, we're the only recreation commission, or the only recreation department in the valley that has their own, you know, actual department. And for a city, we're crushing it. Really good programming, going into low income, doing everything around the whole city. Just a great job. Thank you, Jeannie, for stepping in and taking over a crazy role. Thank you.
Thank you. I should also add that it's budget time. And I have worked with the team to lobby for more funds for Parks and Rec, for all of these departments. One of the things that we want to do is to beef up the Demuth Community Center and make it more like James O. Jesse, a bigger staff, more activities, camps, after school programs. We just don't do a lot down there because right now we have 3 employees. So we're trying to get some employees, get some people working, but we've got a lot of brainstorming going on within the department, and the staff is really excited about trying to add programs, but we need some budgetary help on that. Get some staff in here and push some money into this department so that we can do the things we want to do.
Love it. Thank you. Thank you for the update. Don.
All right, so I'll start with the Parks and Recreation priority projects. These were the ones from 2020. We still have 3 that are still being worked on. One being the playground surfacing. So the surfacing around Victoria Park playgrounds are still under construction. Demuth and Desert Highland Park are now complete. The ball field lighting project, our consultant has submitted plans for staff to review. And we are still looking at construction for the summer. So we were scheduled to get the final plans by the end of May. So right now we're kind of going through that back and forth process over their plans. So that is going on. Pavilion acoustics, the audio equipment is scheduled to be installed in April. I know date has been slipping in our past couple of reports, but as of today, it's scheduled to be installed sometime in April. The other park projects under construction right now is the Demuth Park and Desert Highland Park restrooms. The contractor is now working on the interior parts of the Demuth Park restrooms, and they continue to build the exterior walls of the Desert Highland Park restrooms. The Demuth Community Center HVAC project started construction towards the end of February. It also includes replacement of some of the doors and windows to meet current standards. And that project continues along. The Prop 68 grant projects, basically there are 2 projects that we got grants for. One was the aquatic center shade structures, and this was to install 3 new shade structures at the pool. This item was not approved at Thursday's meeting. You can watch the meeting to see why. And then the Desert Highland ball field, that project was going to include a laser leveling of the ball field, as well as 1 shade structure behind the backstop. Again, the city did not approve the shade structure. It looks like they're going to get some more information on our procurement practices and hopefully approve these contracts. Regarding the laser leveling, the city did put that out to bid. We did get 1 bid. However, the city intends to reject all bids and re-advertise the project. It was just way out of our budget, and we didn't feel like we are going to do it justice if we just went along with that. So we are just basically going to put the project back out to bid to see if we can improve our outreach to different companies and get a better price. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on, tomorrow there is that, what do you call that? The groundbreaking for the CV Link project. It's not a city, I mean, it's a project run by CVAG, and it involves the construction of new segments of the CV Link. And that's basically a bicycle, pedestrian, and NEV, neighborhood electric vehicles, which kind of looks like golf carts. It's throughout this Coachella Valley. So the existing link that ends at Demuth Park basically will extend out to Mesquite Avenue and then go westward to El Cielo. Then you would have to take surface streets down to Sonora, back up Compadre, and then they're going to do another segment, which is also in Mesquite, from basically just near Faro all the way to Sunrise Way. And then this is considered the south alignment of the CV Link in Palm Springs. They said there's a north alignment that ends kind of near the Escena development track, right by the Whitewater River. That's what's called the north leg. And that one, we found out from CVAG recently, they plan to start that sometime next year in 2023. So looks like, we'll be getting a lot more biking opportunities here in the city, which is great for recreation and healthy lifestyles. So that's my report on the projects.
Any questions for Don? I see John, your hand is up, sir.
My only question is, I have to say this block wall project sort of hit me out of left field. I did go back to last month's meeting and I saw there was an update on it, but I honestly cannot remember where this came from. And the only reason it hit me out of left field is because my husband happens to work for the Desert Sun and they did an article on it. And I was like, what are you talking about? All I see in last month's is block wall project submittals coming in, tentative start date, March 28th. So what is this survey and what is this, where did this project come from, I guess? I mean, maybe I'm the only commissioner who doesn't know, but I was shocked.
Anybody? Yeah.
Well,
And
I
to
don't
say
know
something,
about the, I started to say, I don't know about the wastewater treatment plant wall, what instigated that or where that came from, but the survey was something that we worked with the pickleball subcommittee to try to develop. And we worked on the questions, and last week, specifically that question that was mentioned in public comment was just added because there was the question about the wall. And so there was a question, some information added to the survey at the end. So I don't know if that helps any, but the survey is active right now and you should be able to find a link on our website. Sorry, but Johnny, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm with John on this one too. So I understood there was supposed to be some kind of wall put up, but I thought that was the desert, the treatment centers putting that up, and it really wouldn't affect the pickleball anyway. I mean, we all know that the smell is going to go over a wall. That's not the issue. I didn't think the wall was going to have any play onto the court itself. I thought it was on the other side of that fence. I was just wondering the difference between the fence and the wall. That's how I understood it. So if somebody can share something and enlighten us on this a little bit, right?
Yeah, see, I know nothing about it either.
Do you happen to know about this? I think it's been a project for a while, right? It just hasn't been instigated.
Yeah, it's been a project that's been on the books for a while. It does construct a block wall. It would be about, it'll be basically between the wastewater treatment plant and the pickleball courts. The actual physical wall will be a little bit to the south, I guess, of where the existing fence is. But I think in the final plans, that existing fence would have come out. There are, basically, there are some concerns that the public have brought up. And basically, we are listening to those concerns. The project was put out to bid, and we do have a contractor. The city council did award the contract, and the contractor was supposed to start at the end of March. We've asked we've asked the contractor to start, to push back the start date, and that date is now April 25th. So after what's quote unquote called the season, and it would take about 6 weeks to build the block wall, with the concerns with people running into the wall. There are some options out there that we can look into, but I don't have anything to share with you on that right now. And that's basically where we stand today.
So us as a commission, just to let everybody know, we have to wait for the city to get their survey. We have no say in this. We have to wait for them to get their survey, to do their due diligence to find out where they're going to go from it. Okay. It's all of us are in.
And I'll just say that the survey was really to help the community express their opinions over what their preferences were regarding the the sign-in board or the paddle saddle system, and whether they wanted courts designated for advanced play or just all open play. So just asking about what the players wanted, And then the wall kind of got thrown in at the end. So, but yeah, this wall has been in the works for quite a while. I'm trying to find if I can figure out when it was. It's up, that's the librarian in me.
No, it's no problem. I've been on the commission 2.5, 3 years, and I don't know. I didn't know anything about it till.
Jerry?
Yes, sir. Peter, sir.
Yeah, the wall, they've kind of been working on the wall as well for a couple years, as Jenny said. The Hispanic, or excuse me, yeah, the Hispanic and the Filipino community has been complaining about the smell. And I know Bayanihan and some other groups have been working with the city council to try to remedy the smell. And that's how I think the wall came about. So just a little background on the wall. But for me, I'm concerned about the environmental justice issues that minority community has been facing for years. So I'm not sure if a wall is going to remedy it, but the smell is definitely a concern. Not to mention what else they're inhaling.
Thank you much, sir. Thank you, Dieter, for that too. Any other comments for Don? I know me personally, just from me to you, I see how they're doing the playground in tile form now instead of the one solid section, coming from the construction background and also now doing what I do. Great decision on the city. So now we can replace section by section as they wear out instead of having to replace the whole thing. Great forethinking, and that's just really good on you guys for that one. Thank you, sir, for that. Other than that, we're going to have to work on the wall situation, and we'll move forward from this. Thank you for your update, sir. I appreciate that.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Stacy's not here today, so we don't have the facilities update. Moving on to, is there any other staff updates? All right. I'm going to move it forward to the decision and action items to our next section. Decisions on project updates, verbal report. So that's my apologies. My apologies, everybody. It would be number 2 now. It would be a decision and the disc golf. Is John available?
Yes, just a moment. Let me bring him on as a panelist. So John, you're going to accept the request to promote to panelist. And then you should be able to turn on your camera too. There you go. Hi.
Yeah, hi, everybody. Mr. Chairman and Honorable Commissioners, I really appreciate your time today and considering us a disc golf community to potentially put a facility at one of your parks. And if you don't mind, I would like to show a PowerPoint presentation to kind of support what we're proposing to do there. So if I could share my screen really quick.
Perfect.
All right, if everybody can see my screen, this is the group. We are we consider ourselves the Coachella Valley Disc Golfers, or Coachella Valley Discers for short. We are a contingent of about 250 members, active members on our Facebook page, and we hold a event. It's a weekly event every Sunday out at our Palm Desert Park. It's around the Hovey Soccer Park. And it is a soccer park, so it is a little bit congested on the weekends. And the city's been nice enough to afford us a Sunday night time slot where they turn the lights on for us. And this is really the only time that the club is able to kind of get out there together and play, because during the weekdays, as you can imagine, most people work, and on the weekends, it's pretty filled with soccer. So we're really looking for an opportunity to place a new facility where our members and new members can have an opportunity to come out, learn the sport, and practice when they want at will, kind of a thing. We also, as a group, hold a monthly event on a golf course out in La Quinta. It's the Palm Royale golf course. It's over there next to the tennis gardens. It's a beautiful facility. We're very happy there, but it is just a monthly event, and we bring out our 18 portable disc golf baskets to go out there and play the first Saturday of every month. And we get big turnouts for that. We pull people not only from the valley, but outside of the valley to come out and play our events. And actually this weekend, we have a sanctioned event out there where we have 120 people signed up to play. So it's a pretty big event. We're going to be going off with tee times and pretty much taking over Saturday and Sunday at that facility. And I would encourage and welcome any of the commissioners or anybody that's listening to come on out and play with us, or just, you know, come out and spectate. It's a great time, and you'll see all the players out there. And I'd really like it if you guys have the time to come out and check us out there. But you know, we do have a governing body that governs disc golf in the United States. It's similar to what you have for ball golf or traditional golf. They have a professional golf association. We have what we call a professional disc golf association. And it keeps track of all the metrics and data based on the membership and courses. And just real quick, I'd like to kind of go over kind of where the growth is going since 2020 to 21. We've seen it just exploding in disc golf. We've had 44,420 new players join the PDGA over those 2 years, with 65,422 renewing their existing membership. So at current, right now, well, in 2021, in 2022, we're growing even more. But based on the data that they have available, we have approximately 110,000 active members in our sport, you know, go through the PDGA, which is a pretty big number. And we've grown 67% just in the last 2 years alone. We saw a big increase in growth due to the coronavirus pandemic. It was a sport that people could go out and play socially distanced. And so we saw a big boom in that. And other people that were playing, you know, sports where you're on team sports, they had to kind of quit that for a while. And so they're looking for alternatives, and disc golf afforded them that alternative. In a way of comparison here is to show you the growth of courses over that time period. This is for not only the United States, but Europe, Canada, and other countries. You can see by the bar graph there that United States represents the highest amount of courses in the world, with over 74% of the courses in the United States. And over the last year, we've experienced a 12% growth in courses. So you can kind of see the membership that I was mentioning earlier is growing exponentially, while the courses are kind of a little stagnant. They're not growing as quickly. This graph here kind of illustrates that for you a little bit better. The blue line indicates the courses, the growth in courses from 2011 to 2021. You can see there was like 33,000 courses in 2011, and we're upwards of 110,000 courses here in 2021. But I would contrast that with looking at the membership, the green line, and you can see starting from 2019 that there's really a steep incline in the number of memberships and people getting involved. And pretty soon we're going to kind of eclipse the number of courses there. And the ability for people to go out and play is being constrained by just there aren't enough courses, and and especially in the Coachella Valley. I mean, we are the golf capital of California, if you will. But we only have one disc golf course, and it's at a soccer park, and we have limited time to play that course. The gray line you see at the bottom of the graph is really a correlation of events over that time period. You can see it dips down in 2020, which was the pandemic, and then steeply rises after that. So we're seeing a lot more events coming online, and in 2022, we expect that number to grow a lot more. So what's needed to install a disc golf course at a park? It's really pretty simple. We have these disc golf baskets. This is how we score. Disc golf is played a lot like ball golf or traditional golf, if you will. You start off at a tee pad, and you throw your shots until you arrive at the disc golf basket, and you finish by putting your disc into the basket. The basket is the goal, in essence. Just to give you a relative comparison of the size of these things, you can see this is an average size male, and it's about 3.5 to 4 foot high, sits right about under his armpit there. So they're not too obtrusive or large. And to install these things is relatively simple. All we have to do is dig a post hole 24 inches deep. and about 18 inches in diameter. Fill it up with a little bit of cement, and you set the ground sleeve into the ground there. You can see that you level it out, of course, and then on the bottom right-hand corner, you can see the sleeve in place as it's setting in the concrete. There's a little flange on that sleeve there, and basically that flange is used to lock the disc golf basket in place. So you slide the basket in, as illustrated over there in the left, the cartoon illustration shows that there's a lock, and that lock is locked onto that tab there, and it holds the disc golf basket in place and keeps it from being removed. But I'd also mention that this is how easy it is to remove it too. You simply unlock that lock and you pull it right out of the sleeve, and your disc golf basket is removed and replaced somewhere else. So it's quick and easy to install and quick and easy to take out when needed. Just a quick illustration of the same thing. It's showing the profile of these disc golf baskets above ground and underground. You can see the footing in the middle illustration there. It's much like a chain link fence post with a small amount of concrete in there. And on the right-hand side, you can see a finished disc golf basket. It doesn't disturb much area. It's just basically a pole in the ground. Another integral part to a disc golf course are the disc golf tee pads. And disc golf tee pads are really important to the players and add to the overall benefit of the course, because during the drive is when you usually use your strongest throw, and you take a little bit of a run up, or you do what we call an X step, and you pivot on your front foot as you're throwing it, and you put a lot of torque on that front foot. So you want to have a nice hard surface, something that is secure and not slippery, that you can twist an ankle or something. So a disc golf tee pad is kind of an integral element of a disc golf course. And they're generally dimension-wise about 8 to 12 feet long, or 5 to 6 feet wide. And there are different surfaces for them. The preferred surface is a concrete tee pad. Shown in this image here, you can see it's just basically at grade concrete, leveled off, and it's got a rake finish to it, so it has some kind of texture to the top of the tee pad. So it's not really smooth and slippery. So this is what your standard disc golf tee pad looks like in a park. An alternative to that type of a surface is artificial turf is also used, as you can see in this picture. Artificial turf is a good surface, and it works very well for a tee pad. But I would mention that it is something that has to be replaced more often. Obviously, it could be worn out, and it is susceptible to damage from sun beating on it and that kind of a thing, but also from just wear and tear. Alternatives to that is just a simple a rubber mat, if you will, that is just nailed down to the ground. That's decomposed granite there, and you just kind of fasten it to the ground with long nails. Or something on the right-hand side is more of a kind of a paver type tee pad, where you can use bricks or block pavers or stone material and create your tee pad surface. Again, the concrete tee pad is the preferred tee pad and the one that are used for the high level tournaments and whatnot. The next element that is nice to have on a disc golf course is the tee signs. And the tee signs really serve to provide 3 pieces of information that are important to the golfers, obviously. What hole you're on. For instance, the left-hand side, you can see we're on hole 18. What's the par? Is it a par 3, par 4, par 5? And what's the distance? So just like a regular tee sign you would find on a traditional golf course, it provides that kind of information. It also, is very nice to show a profile, a plan view, if you will, of the disc golf hole, illustrating where the tee pad is in relationship to the basket here. So that's a nicety. It's not always on all the tee pads, but the tee signs, but it's something that adds value to the user. And I should also mention, you can see on the one on the left here, you can see on the bottom, there's a space there, which is a benefit to the park district or the city or the club, whoever is paying for the installation of these things. To add value, you can actually solicit sponsorships for each tee sign. So this allows merchants and local businesses to advertise on the tee signs, and disc golfers are very loyal to those that help them. So they're happy to go and patronize the store or the merchant or what have you. But it is another opportunity to generate revenue by having the course installed in your park. Tees do come in all shapes and sizes, as you can imagine, just giving you 3 different varieties here. The one on the left is pretty much the standard type. Again, you can see the advertisement rider or something on the bottom. The center one, gives some information on the bottom about this is kind of a multi-use park, and so you can have rules. So everybody's aware of the rules, and it has a nice little solar top to it, a solar lighting top, and then just your typical, little post type tee pad there on the right-hand side with a signboard on top of it is just a real simple tee pad and a way to have that on the course. Not at every course, but it's very nice to have is an overall signboard that provides at the front of hole 1 or near the beginning of the course to show people where the disc golf holes are laid out relative to the park. And basically, again, you can see on the bottom, there's an opportunity for advertisement on that sign. It's not something you see at every park, but it certainly is nice, and it gives the opportunity for to have the park rules there, so people are aware that there's a disc golf park there, and that this is the use that it's occurring. So it's a nice piece of information. We have gone through and looked at various parks. We've done our due diligence, if you will, kind of scouting out the various parks the park district has in their jurisdiction. And you guys have some great park spaces, and we've done some design layouts for you just to kind of start the discussion. Obviously, further refinement would be done when we finally landed on a park that would be used. But just in general, outline some of the opportunities and constraints with Ruth Hardy Park here. It looks like we could design somewhere around 10 or 11 holes in there. And these holes are about 250 to 350 feet in length, each of them. And they would be all par 3s. The opportunities we see at this park is that there's plenty of open space. There's mature trees, which is a big benefit for us. We love trees. They shape our fairways. And so this is kind of makes the disc golf course interesting. If you just have big, wide open areas, it's not really fun to play. Every hole kind of feels like the same thing. When you have trees and obstacles to kind of go around, it really shapes the fairways. So this is a great space for that. It's both an active and passive park area. You've got all the tennis courts, you've got the basketball courts, you've got pickleball courts in there, but you still have these passive park areas. And there's existing restrooms with plenty of parking. So that's definitely a benefit to the players all throughout the park. Some of the challenges we see that this park might offer is that, as I mentioned earlier, tee pads are an integral part of the park. So we do see some opportunity that there are existing, there's a couple existing areas where you have walking paths, and we can utilize those areas for tee pads because they're a great surface. But most of the park, we'd have to install some kind of tee pads, the various options that I already went over. And then the weekend use, again, we might be running into a similar problem like we have at our existing park, where we have limited use on the weekends because of all the activity there. So a player would have to get out early in the morning, per se, before the crowds get there to play on a weekend. Whereas during the weekday, we see this would be a great opportunity to be open for play the majority of the time. And we weren't sure about the wellness park area up there, but that really offered some great space for adding 3 additional holes, kind of with some island greens. It's perfect for what we like to utilize, but I don't know if that's even available for us or if that's our park district's jurisdiction of this park. Another park we looked at was Demuth Park. Demuth Park offers some of the same things that we see. It's got great space. It's got those mature trees. It's a sports park, so we integrate real well with sports parks. They got baseball and soccer going on there. This would be an integral new sport to the area. And it does have some existing sidewalks. Again, I mentioned that's beneficial for us for the tee pads. There's also the existing restrooms there, and again, plenty of parking available. I guess the constraints would be similar to what we just discussed, though. It is typically crowded. And again, there are some areas where the sidewalks could be used as T-pads, but we certainly would have to install T-pads in the majority of the holes there. Victoria Park. Victoria Park is a great park for us. We love it. It doesn't have too much going on there, obviously, and we would fit real good in there. The space is great. We laid out 9 holes, and it just works well. Again, beautiful trees, beautiful, fairways for us out there. There's minimal use from what we've observed as we've visited the site, and it has the existing restrooms on site. I guess the negatives are the constraints would be that, again, there are no walking paths here, so we would need 9 actual independent T-pads built for this course. And street parking would be the only available parking, but it is a residential district, and we've noted that a lot of people using the park go ahead and utilize Vera Miralest to park parallel to that curb. And so parking is available, but it's not on site. Desert Highland Park, the James O. Jesse Center that has been discussed, I guess, a couple times tonight, also offers a good opportunity for a disc golf park. Again, we're seeing good open space there with some mature trees, and there's minimal use from what we've seen out there, but it's kind of a little bit open in some areas. I'm not sure if the areas that we have identified for holes 2 and 3 are even within the park district or the park area, but they're just kind of wide open desert areas with no real trees there. And there's parking on site here. I guess I did hear Dawn was mentioning that there's restrooms being built at this park. So I mentioned, I originally said that there's no restrooms here, but that's good to know that that's in the developments or in the works. I guess a negative would be that we're going to need T-pads. This is more or less a remote location in a residential area that is kind of off the beaten path, if you will. And so we're kind of concerned about investing into this park that we might end up not being able to highly utilize it, and there might be some opportunities for vandalism of the equipment out there. That brings us to Sunrise Park, and we're really excited about this park. We did get the opportunity to meet with Commissioner Spillman out there. He was nice enough to oblige us and come out and kind of look over the park with us and discuss the opportunity. We love this park. I mean, if you look at it, it has everything we've been discussing already with regard to the open space and mature trees, and minimal use. It really is a sports complex surrounded by the baseball, the aquatic center. You have the Boys and Girls Club. You have a skate park nearby. You have the high school immediately adjacent. This can be used as an adjunct athletic use for the high schoolers and for the Boys and Girls Club. I mean, it's just right outside their front door, if you will. And the greatest thing about this, it's a plug and play type park for us. We plug the baskets in the ground and we're playing tomorrow, because we can design a park, as you can see here, with utilizing all of those sidewalk areas as our T-pads, and they work out perfectly. I mean, I'll be honest with you, we went out there and we took a group of our club members and we laid out the layout here, and it just played awesome. I mean, everybody loved it. The fairways were just beautiful and perfect distances on all the holes, and the T-pads worked. And so we were just kind of drooling at the mouth at this park. And I guess the constraint is, as I've been told by Commissioner Alcorn, is that there's future construction here in the works. And, I would just say to that, as you saw, these things are easy to install. We just put a simple footing in the ground and we put the disc golf baskets on top and lock them in there. When it's time to do construction, we can easily remove them and migrate them to another park. In the interim, we might take on the expense of doing some crowdfunding to get money to build T-pads at, let's say, Victoria Park or something, as we're utilizing this park, up front and kind of getting the excitement about disc golf being in Palm Springs. So that's kind of my pitch on Sunrise Park. It really is a great facility, perfect for what we're looking for, and it's not really utilized that much as far as there's just kind of a centralized playground area, and we've designed everything to kind of move away from that and be in the areas that are underutilized. And you got the aquatic center there, by the way, too. Just a couple of pictures of that outing that I mentioned. We took our club members out there. You can just see this. Look at these fairways. They're perfect for us for throwing our shots down the fairway and having a little bit of technical restrictions to get around. It just, everybody loved it. Here we are making some putts on the baskets out there. We had park goers stopping and watching us and enjoying it and really kind of getting into it and asking about how they can get involved. And so, this is a great location, almost downtown Palm Springs, where high activity, lots of people can see it, and I think it would be highly beneficial. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we do have a monthly at that Palm Royale course, and just to kind of, throw this on the table as well, as we're interested in setting up disc golf on ball golf courses, and that is kind of a new emerging trend in Southern California. Disc golf is being basically put in on ball golf courses and helps to add to the value of the course. There's more patrons now. They have bigger sales at the pro shop with both food and drink, and also it offers an opportunity at the pro shop to make more sales on discs and disc golf related equipment. You can sell backpacks and discs at the pro shop. So it is coming into a lot of golf courses in Southern California, and it's permanent installation, and they're seeing a high value in that. Here at the Palm Royale Country Club, we just love playing out there, and we would love to put a permanent course there or somewhere similar like that in the valley. And I promise you would get a lot of use, not only from people in the Coachella Valley, but we get calls all the time as a club. We're coming through the valley and we see this golf course. Is this the only thing we have? You guys don't have anything else? And we're sending them to Yucaipa, we're sending them to Murrieta, we're sending them to Riverside. We're sending them outside of the valley because there's nowhere to play here. So the first person is going to be the winner here. We've had tournaments out at the Indio Lights as well. That course is beautiful for setting up too. The only problem out there is obviously, I think most of us know how Indio is this area on the north side of the I-10 is the wind belt, and just don't fly too good in the wind. So it's a challenge to kind of find time to play out there. We also set up at Desert Dunes. Desert Dunes is a beautiful course. We've set up a couple events out there. They love us up there, but again, this is pretty windy area. We'd like to have a disc golf course on a ball golf course somewhere where it's a little more protected by the wind, and we can have more events and have just general play out there. Our players enjoy coming out to our events. As you can see, they're all ages and love getting prizes from us and participating in all the things that we're doing at these golf courses, but really looking for a temporary or permanent situation. And an emerging trend is also to install disc golf courses in open space desert areas. So I'm just offering this as kind of an option for us in the future, or maybe something you want to consider if the parks areas are a little constricted. We can look at if there's any park areas that you have in desert areas that we can consider. We consider ourselves, basically nature lovers. We love to go out and hike, and disc golf in these kind of areas is just hiking with a purpose. You have an activity you're doing, but you're doing the same thing the hikers and bikers are doing. You're enjoying nature, and you're out there, getting some exercise and having a good time with your friends. As you can see here, they can be integrated very well into the natural environment by using the same colors and materials. So it can detract from the overall aesthetic of the desert areas. And out here, you don't have as much trees, but we do have the topography, and the topography makes the disc golf holes challenging and interesting. Here's just a silhouette, beautiful picture of a basket perched up on a rock outcropping, and you just want to throw the disc in the basket up there. Really cool thing that's been happening lately as disc golf's been blowing up is that we've been getting a lot of coverage on network TV. CBS Sports Network picked us up for the dynamic discs championship last year, and this was really well received on TV, and we just love seeing it out there and growing like it is. Another example is the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championships was picked up by ESPN2 in November. And you can see here, we've got both male and female pro disc golfers. They're out there making a living doing this now, and a good living at it. They're buying $1 million homes. They're able to buy big RVs and travel all around the United States. And they come through our area all the time, going to Arizona and to the Southern California events, and they pass right through here. We could grab them and have them enjoying disc golf out here in the Valley and patronizing our local stores and community. And this is just a kind of an anecdotal thing. This is something fun that's been kind of springing up lately, is that, you know, disc golf has been introduced to ballparks, and at Dodger Stadium, for example, last November, you know, we had a big event out there. It sold out really quick. I mean, it's a couple-day event, but, you know, who doesn't want to go out to their ballpark and throw discs into the infield, you know, from the stands and just have a real good time out there with your friends. As you can see here, we got Bubba Watson. He's a champion of it. He's obviously a traditional ball golfer and a very popular one, but he and his son, they really love disc golf, and they get out there and do it and promote the game. And so they're kind of a celebrity for us. And it can be enjoyed by people of all ages, from young to old. Here, this is at the Palm Royale Disc Golf Course that I mentioned. We have our monthly event, and we were very happy to have this gentleman come out and play with us. He was 100 years old, and he started playing disc golf when he was in his 90s and picked it up, and he called this his fountain of youth. He basically played every day. He went out there, he kept himself young and limber, and he just enjoyed playing with everybody and socializing, and just a great pleasure to be around. But just as an example, you can have, you know, 6-year-olds to 100-year-olders playing, and everybody can play together. It's not like on a golf course where you have to smash the ball really far. Everybody can throw a Frisbee, you know, 100 feet, 200 feet and play at the same speed. So it's something pros and amateurs can play alike, and it doesn't slow each other down. Obviously, children and women love the game, as well as, you know, all demographics and ages. So, you know, that's kind of my presentation for you, and I really appreciate your time and listening to us and considering us. We have a really strong contingent of players out here that are excited about the opportunity to work with Palm Springs. And with that, I will go ahead and end my presentation and open it up for any questions.
John, I have one for you, John. So if you're putting the stands in the ground, that piece that you lock on, is that going to be flush to the surface so that we can still use the park without worrying about hitting our foot or breaking an ankle on the mount that's sticking out?
Yeah, John, so what we're suggesting is to have permanent baskets in there. And so they would be in the ground all the time. The baskets would be above ground and highly visible, just like you would see any kind of pole out there. But if in any case that you wanted us to remove them, like I was mentioning about the Sunrise Park installation, we could remove those when construction time came, or when you had a special event there that you needed these to be removed. We could simply remove them. And the way you can encase things is similar to a sprinkler vault. You remember, you know, those little green plastic sprinkler vaults, like a surface top? You just cover them up that way really quick. And you would have them depressed a little bit, obviously.
Okay, he froze up a little bit here. Connection issues. So, sorry about that, John. Does anybody else? I know he's not commenting right now. He can't. He's frozen. So, can you turn off your video and your audio, John, and see if that'll help your connection? If not, I appreciate your presentation. We're going to discuss it as a commission. Oh,
I was just gonna say, if he comes back on, you could read. Oh, here you, hey, look, there he is.
I apologize, my Wi-Fi cut out on me there. I think I answered your question, but did you need more explanation there, John?
No, that's good, John. I appreciate it. Good presentation too.
Okay, thank you.
anybody have any comments for John?
Just thank you for taking the time, Sean. It was a pleasure to meet you when I met you a few weeks back, and I thank you for doing this. I know Jerry's really stepped up and thinks it's great as well. So we hope we can make something happen if it can happen. So thank
I'd
you.
love
very
to.
much. Yeah.
John, is there any grants that you already have or ideas in terms of funding for something like that?
Yeah, Jody, as I mentioned earlier, we would have to do some crowdfunding with our local group and maybe even hit up some of the local merchants and sponsors that might want to sponsor T signs and that kind of a thing. But we have raised enough money locally with our club to purchase the baskets. So at this point, as I mentioned, the Sunrise Park is really attractive to us because we're ready to plug and play that one, and we'd have the basically the tee pads already there. So we could fund that one tomorrow and put the baskets in the ground as soon as you guys say go.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that, John. I see a couple hands up. I see quite a few hands up right now. So let's start with Dieter. Mr. Crawford.
Yeah. My only concern was the like Johnny said, the trip hazard or fall hazard, you know, with the signs in the baskets and the tee pads. But I think I'm all for the disc golf. I think it's a good idea. As I said last meeting, I've seen it already being played in Sunrise Park. Only concern was just being hit by the Frisbee. So, you know, I would be just concerned with the multi-use in the other parks. But I was wondering, is this something we can install at the city-owned golf course or at the Palm Springs Stadium? You know, after I heard him mention that it's being played at the stadiums. So those were a couple things that came to my mind.
Great comment. Jeannie, I see your hand up. I'm sorry, John. You as well. Yours blends right into your background, bro. Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. Either way. My only question is, while you're having like a tournament, let's say, can other things be happening in that space? Or are you asking that when you have a tournament that only you and your group are there?
That's a good question, John. So what we're saying is we're looking for a park where we can go out and practice and play. If we were to have a special event, we would have to run that through the city to get a temporary use permit or something of the kind there to do a special event like that. And then we'd be asking probably, because of the park's space is so constricted, that we would ask for full use of that park during that time. But for the most part, we're just looking at, you know, utilizing these park spaces to go out and practice and have fun, you know, opportunities to play with, you know, your friends, just as other people are playing in the park similarly. We're not asking to have events there every week, but you know, if we could have, I heard somebody mention the golf course. If we had a golf course opportunity, that would be great. We could have special events there all the time, just like other groups go out and have tournaments at those places. But the park, we would be doing it through a temporary use permit process, I would assume.
Okay, but for normal, regular use, other people could be in the park as well.
That's correct.
Cool.
And
Thank you.
I'd also add that is very common throughout a lot of parks throughout Southern California. These disc golf baskets are in, and people have multi-uses and they're using it. Disc golfers are very appreciative to have their baskets at the park, and they're not going to do anything to jeopardize that. They're very smart about where they're throwing and making sure the coast is clear. And they use intelligence, basically. We don't just throw things out at people. So yeah, thank you.
My question was about cost. I'm just curious, how much does it cost for a basket and a tee pad, or just how much have you seen a course installed? And I'm just curious about the total cost or pieces, parts.
And that's a great question. I'm actually an ambassador for Innova. It's a disc golf manufacturer, so I do get a break in costs on certain things like baskets and tee signs. But for me, disc golf baskets, like the ones that we're proposing, are about $350 a piece. And a tee sign, unfortunately, I'm not an ambassador for a concrete company, but they run about $250 for the materials if you're looking at the concrete and the 2x4s and basically a chicken wire foundation for it. You're about $200 and we have plenty of people that are willing to volunteer their time to help install these things. But if you were going to have somebody basically do it, it's probably going to be about $600 to $700 a tee if you didn't have volunteers.
Yeah, and we would probably have to work that out just for liability reasons on city property. And so, yeah, you're right. I wasn't even, really thinking about just general concrete pads, but the baskets, that's an interesting, not as expensive as I thought, really, for the baskets. But that includes like the base, like the mount, the separate mount that's in the ground. And
that's correct. Yes, it's the sleeve that's in the ground and the above surface basket. About $350 for me. For regular price, you add another $100 onto it if it was just a general person off the street.
Okay, thank you. I like the idea. My biggest fear is that we will have competing issues in Sunrise Park because we have the Boys and Girls Club, we have the camp, the after school program, and they do go out and do outdoor activities, but not all the time, and so it might not be a big deal. It might just be a great thing.
I appreciate that. I would just like to reiterate that, we've thrown out a lot of options out at you guys today, and we're just happy to have you work with us to find some place that it works out, whether it be in winter parks or in a desert area or on a golf course, something that, we can utilize and you guys feel comfortable with us utilizing.
So just to be clear, can I make this clear? If we can find you a space, you have funds available for the baskets. And if we don't have concrete pads, that would be ideal to have a launch pad or a place for you guys you'd like us to provide the start point and signage.
That would be the best offer from us. We currently do have the funds available to purchase the baskets, and so we can purchase those tomorrow. The other funding would have to be something we could do some, funding drives with our local club, or also, inquire with your local merchants to see if they're interested in advertising. But that would be a little bit more footwork for us. And I don't know if you guys have opportunities. I was listening in earlier about Measure J and all that. I don't know if there's opportunities there to kind of include this, but
that's what I was going to propose is what if we can find a space in a park to get you into. Can we do that? And at a later time, we could find funding or sources to get like the pads put in, the signage put in, but we can get this into a park now.
Yeah, no, we'd be happy to do that. Yeah, we could do it piecemeal. Definitely.
Awesome. Just trying to bring the opportunities into the city. I like how it's for everybody, it works for everybody. And it would be a good section. So thank you, sir, for your time, your presentation. We do have more to go on with this meeting. I really do appreciate what you've said. Does anybody have any other questions or comments for John? All right, John, thank you very much. We'll be in contact soon, and I look forward to seeing some disc golf here.
Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate your time. You guys have a good day and rest of your meeting.
Thank you. You too, sir. All right, commissioners, with that section done, that is the presentation of the disc golf. At this time, we're going to open up to the reports for the ad hoc committees. Do we have some reports from the ad hocs? I see Susie. I'm sorry, every time, Susie, I see you raising your hand. Yes, ma'am. Sunrise Park.
Yes, hi. So the Sunrise Park Ad Hoc Committee has had a chance to sort of liaise on a few issues, and John's presentation is a great sort of jumping off point from that. We talked about how we could, just because his presentation was so comprehensive and actually touched on all the things that we've been saying over several meetings, would be really nice to hear when people are coming to Sunrise Park with a proposal for an event or a permanent sort of fixture. So we talked about the best way to get a proposed universal set of sort of introductory questions available to the public for any individual or group which would want to have something in the park, whether it was an event or whether it was a permanent fixture that would require city funding. So I looked to other communities that have robust Parks and Recs programs. So we looked to Miami Beach, Florida, and they have a dedicated commercial permit application program for any individual or entity who wants to use a public space. And in order to get a use permit, there are a number of qualifying questions. And I did share that with the committee. And I would be curious for maybe if Jeannie has the answer to this or whoever, to comply with all of the communication restrictions within our commission, the best way to sort of circulate that for some group involvement. So maybe we could come up with a group of questions that would be publicly available through the city of Palm Springs for anyone who wants to approach the committee in the future. So that's the first sort of issue we talked about. And then I'll just briefly touch on two more. Jeannie, your presentation that you give every week or every month is so helpful with all of the colored flyers and everything. And the City of Palm Springs Twitter has been really helpful for people who have been using the pool and been monitoring the closures. And so we had discussed the possibility of if the person in charge of the City of Palm Springs Twitter or someone within the city would be willing to establish a Sunrise Park Twitter. Just because there's the library, there's the community center, there's the pool, the summer camps, and there's the green space itself. We thought that it might be a valuable communication tool and get a little bit more sort of featured and sort of concentrated information out there specifically for the park. So that was sort of a second thing we talked about. And a third thing we did talk about was some concerns that some citizens have brought up about safety and increased desire for maybe some sort of security with respect to the location directly between the community center and the municipal pool. I know that there have been a number of sort of increases in maybe the population of homeless people there, which I know is a more global issue that we can't really deal with directly, but based on that concern, I did reach out to a number of private security companies just to get some quotes to see what the cost of that kind of thing could be for the city. And I should have that information, or we should have that information by the next meeting. So those are kind of the three areas of topics that we discussed during our communications. If anyone has any thoughts or feedback on any of that.
Jean. Yes, ma'am. I see your hand. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say that. Thank you. Great suggestions. I was in Miami in December, and their Parks and Rec department was amazing. I mean, it was just a visitor, and I saw a lot of activity in a neighborhood park, and they had an attendant, and that it's a good idea. They check out the gaming supplies and. But yeah, your idea about a form where people could apply or suggest ideas, I think that's a great idea. And that's what you said, right? I just wanted to.
Yes. And I think when we were talking, we want to be cognizant of the Brown Act and different ways to sort of internally discuss potential questions or topics that should be covered. And I think the presentation that was just given by Mr. Berg was really great because he touched on funding, he touched on his own efforts for scoping the area, he talked about community impact, things like that. And I mean, that would be great if there was just a landing place for people who were coming to us so that we could be more efficient instead of saying, oh, we like you. Well, we could cite to like an equal list of factors to sort of evaluate whether it's something we could have.
Yeah, so if there's anything that you want to communicate with the whole commission or even more than a quorum, I think that that should go through Janet Burns. She's the one who sends out your communication. So then it can be blind copied to the commission. That's how we communicate, so that you all can't reply all and end up discussing business inadvertently. So you could send it to her. Rec info is another good email, the rec info at palmspringsca.gov. But Janet Burns is a great place to send that information, and then she can disperse it. If you're in a subcommittee and you're not reaching a quorum, then it's okay. As long as you don't then go out and talk to other people and other people talk to other people, then it's a serial meeting and then you've all discussed business. The other thing was that we are actually talking, well, security. You mentioned security. I've already been in touch with our city security. I have security at the library, but the security that the city uses, we've already been in talks with them. They have already supposed to have been beefing up security at night around the Sunrise Park. And we did do a walk around the other day, and it had been discussed previously, and I didn't know this, but that we have some areas that maybe need to be fenced in and not public areas between the two buildings, or I mean, between the pool and the pavilion, and that could be opened up when we need it opened up. But there are just some areas that it's not a throughway. It's not really as it was built in the 70s. It's not a passageway really. It's just more of a place that's should really probably be off limits. So we were talking about that too, about getting some fencing there. And
that's great.
Sunrise Park Twitter. We can't even keep up with our own Twitter.
Whoever's doing Chief Mills should do the Sunrise Twitter.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I've been informed with him. I've never seen somebody been so on. I'm not even on social media that much.
Yeah, I know that Recreation really uses Instagram a lot. The library, we use Facebook a lot. We are on Instagram a little bit, but having different organizations. I mean, it's a great idea. Not sure how we can make that happen, but
sure. I think it's nice because I think that, especially with the pool closure, I know there's just been a lot more sort of unexpected pool closures due to the vandalism and things like that. And I think that people were going to Twitter as sort of authority of when they could book a lane or go for free swim and things like that. But I agree, maybe that's something to table until there's a permanent placement, and then that could be added to their scope of services. But we were just talking about how there are so many individual complexes in Sunrise Park that it would be really nice to just have them in one cohesive package.
yeah. And the city does a good job communicating on door too. So I know they do that. They put out a lot of notices.
Just as a modern community trying to move into the modern day, we really should look towards social media for communication, because that's how we get nobody looks up the city website. People look at social media for information. It's just a sign of the times, and it's been a sign. I mean, look, like I said, just look at the sign, look at the signs. It's something the city really needs to look into for that.
Yeah, we need staff.
Need a lot of stuff.
Thank you.
So anything else for Sunrise Park?
I think that's it. We had a nice, helpful discussion, and thank you for Chris meeting with the disc golf team. That was really helpful as well. So we're getting things done.
No, thank you. I mean, I thought what you wrote to me and Jerry and I was very extensive, and I just your idea with Twitter. I mean, it's just how when I was thinking about Jeannie a couple of months ago, when I was suggesting that we all use our social media to promote the activities, I think it's just right on the same wavelength. And I just hope we all move in the right direction with all this stuff. So thank you.
Can I also ask one quick question on the, not as a chairman, as a citizen / commissioner side, are we not enticing people good enough to get these positions filled? Do we need to look at what we're doing as a city to entice employees to come into our city? That's all I'm saying. So
we all need to be on our best behavior and look and put on our shiny faces and be on. Because
People
they're
don't want to work.
watching. I was going to say, I had an idea, Susie, about your Twitter idea. Instead of having a Twitter group, just have a Twitter handle that that we can all follow or something, you know, sunrise, hashtag Sunrise Park. And then that could be on Instagram, that could be on Facebook.
Or yeah, hashtag. That would be helpful. That would be nice. Yeah. If we could implement that into the posts that are already being done, even on, I guess, I don't know if those are on Facebook or not, but, or if they're, you know, interchangeable between platforms, but it couldn't hurt.
On for the library, our social media, we have them, we have the three things merged together. So we have Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And when we post, we can cross-platform connect on that.
Okay, that's because Mark Zuckerberg owns the world now. So I guess he made that possible for us. So that's good though. We can use
Well,
that.
we have constant contact. We use constant contact. So if you sign up for the library newsletter, little plug there.
So is there any other comments for Sunrise Park commissioners or for the ad hoc committees? All right, how about for, we still have Pickleball Commission, or we still have the pickleball? Is there any pickleball updates besides what we've been hearing? We got the survey coming up.
I drove by over the weekend. Again, I drive by that once in a while. That place is ridiculously packed. There's just, I can't believe how many people show up. It's incredible. And matter of fact, it leads to a question I was very curious about, Jeannie, based on one of the flyers. The indoor pickleball, is that for people? Is that for the overflow? Is that for those same people that want to use it, or it's just for kids? It's a version of it, or?
No, it's an adult program. It's just, it's open in those days. Now, do I know where I closed that? I closed that document, but hold on, I'll find it.
So it opens up more courts for those same people to use? Is that what?
Yes, yeah. And they set up the courts, they set up the nets, the staff do it in the gyms of the places. So it's nice out of the sun. 1 second, I'm gonna pull that up because it has the dates.
It's a great alternative too. It gets them out of the sun. It's starting to heat up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there is, because they have it at JOJ. They have pickleball at JOJ. They have pickleball at Demuth. We understand there's a need for it. We're trying.
But isn't part of their need, isn't what they said, or it's been an ongoing thing that we don't have enough courts for them. That's why they want us to build more.
Yes, sir. We're strategically looking for funds. So the funds we can have to do it.
Well, this was a nice step in the right direction with Cheney with the indoor pickleball. I was kind of wondering about if that could be done indoor, and I started researching on YouTube. It's actually, I don't know if you said this a while ago, Jerry. I mean, when you drive around town, there's a lot. I kind of did this a couple of weeks ago on my bike. There's a lot of unused tennis courts that people just aren't using around the city, that I just thought somebody can kind of create the Airbnb, or just kind of, you know, with the city just kind of stepping up with, you know, with the insurance, I understand would be the variable, but there's so many tennis courts where people just don't use them. You know, it's like they're just sitting there. There's apartment buildings or condos right in the middle of town behind the spa casino. People, just individual tennis courts you drive by, and it's just like, so I don't know if it's just that early morning looking for or what, but it just seems like maybe people could kind of figure out that there is space if it was available, I guess. You know?
So I shared the flyer with you, and Monday through Friday, 9 to noon at least, or 9 to 1. Now Duluth, you know, if there's some construction happening, but reservations are required. So it's just give us a call, or look at this video and scan. I just used my camera and clicked on that little QR code, and it takes you to ActiveNet, which is our reservation software, and you can sign up and join, and it's really nice.
I've never played pickleball. I played tennis. I've never played it. Just, you know, so it's quite the demand for it. That's super cool. No, yeah. I wish we had
Hottest growing sport right now. I see a couple hands up. I see Mr. Finland. I see Mr. Crawford. Mr. Finland, yes, sir.
Okay, I just wanted to say that collectively, the Pickleball expansion in this city is a work in progress. And certainly we've made inroads as far as the ad hoc committee. Now, certainly opinions were put forth this evening where people had reservations about certain things. Most specifically, one of the primary things was with the survey, which certainly the questionnaire, I should say, that can be given a second glance and consideration for, if we need to make modifications on that. But certainly, as a commission, we're sensitized to what people are expressing and putting forth. And we want to, as best we can, entertain what people are seeking as far as meeting the parameters they desire for the further expansion of that sport. That being said, and there was also concerns with regard to the wall issue. Again, that will be something that'll be revisited and looked upon in going forward. But that being said, just to reiterate, while things are, expansion proposals are being looked upon, just let's consider that for the foreseeable future, Ruth Hardy, that park will remain primarily a tennis facility, and DeMuth will remain primarily a pickleball facility. And we're looking as best we can to find means by which we can expand the pickleball interest by the folks who are part of that sport and want to see it grow and expand in the city, have more opportunities for people to participate and enjoy pickleball. But it was already previously in years past, going back to like 2019, and then reiterated by this commission in previous meetings, that Ruth Hardy is a tennis facility. So I just wanted to put that forth on the table for consideration for everyone and respect for everyone. That's really what we're going to be maintaining.
Yes, sir. I see Dieter, your hands up, sir. Thank you, Michael.
We've been pretty.
We can't hear you.
Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me now?
It's just really quiet.
How about now? Is it better?
Yeah, it's a little bit better.
All right. Just wanted to say, we've got the indoor pickleball at DeMuth and Desert Highland. I'm not sure how we got to just this idea that tennis and DeMuth are just exclusive to those each of those sports. I mean, there's 100 different lines on the floor at Desert Highland and no one gets confused. So I'm not sure why we can't put pickleball at the Ruth Hardy courts. And like I said, vice versa, I feel that it's multi-purpose. We use a lot of the fields for dual sport as well. I don't see why the tennis courts at Ruth Hardy are exclusive. I feel the tennis community should be a little more inclusive.
Can I ask
Thank
a quick
you,
question
Peter.
on under? Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Christopher, go right ahead.
Just because I don't know, but I do know when I play tennis across the valley, or when I did much more before, is it just this? Do they just play in those early morning hours? They just like the 7 o'clock to the 10 o'clock hour, and then they're kind of like done for the day. And then because as Dieter was alluding to with Ruth Hardy, and I don't want to convolute because of tennis, and I do like tennis, but when I again scouting, trying to do some research, I saw that in Ruth Hardy by a certain point or time in the day, there was courts available, and I wasn't sure until now that we don't allocate a court over there. I thought maybe there was a court allocated for pickleball, and I understand why there's not. But I did see after a certain point in the day, there's several courts available. So not that I want to encroach on the tennis or convolute things, but again, since there's availability with courts, is it that pickleball people just don't play at 3 o'clock I'm not talking about on hot days. This was, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and they're just because, I don't go by Ruth Hardy in the evening, or in the afternoon to DeMuth to see when they stop playing or anything like that. I just see it in the morning, so I don't know their schedule, but I'm just curious.
Hey, I live right by DeMuth Park, and they're busy all the time. During the hot part of the day, around 12, it kind of chills out. But 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, it's pretty busy.
Okay.
And then in the summer, there's because of the trees, they play till 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night. And if there was more, if the lights worked really well, they would be playing there a lot. So pretty crazy.
It's a need. There's a lot of need in the city. We're all working on it. We're all talking about the same issues right now. You know, let's move this meeting forward.
Sure.
We're all on the same page here. We all agree with the same things. We need to just move this forward and hopefully we can find a solution, something moving on, or everybody just agree. I agree with what you're saying, Chris. There is open availability. I don't know what past agreements were done or what was going on, but you know, we are a growing city. We're not a city of 40,000 anymore. I mean, during the season, we grow 150, 200,000 plus we have in here. We're still thinking like a city of 40,000. We're not. I mean, it's just plain and simple. So we're growing. The city's aware of it too. The city's trying to do it. They're putting out fires at every end they can. And we're all growing together. We're just, it's hard on us because as a commission, as a voluntary commission, we take a lot of heat. We all put a lot of effort in and you want to see progress. But in city stuff, it's slow. Progress isn't today or tomorrow. It's next year, next month. So we're all aware of this. We're working on it.
Yeah.
Is there any other subcommittee comments on any other subcommittees? I think we nailed most of them. I know Ellen's not here for the dog park. So I'm trying to move the meeting forward. So let's get this meeting moving forward. Let's open it up to commissioner comments. I see, Michael, your hand is still up. I don't know if it's that on purpose, if your hand is up or if you have a comment.
No, I'm sorry. It should be down.
No problem, sir. Thank you. Does anybody like to start with comments? I'll start. I'm not shy. So as you guys know, we're doing a lot, as I just said. So let me just add on to some things here. I'm at Sunrise Park. I'm at a lot of different parks. I teach archery for the city. I do a lot of different things for the city voluntarily. I do stuff. My last archery class, just an FYI, I had a full class of students. While the students were looking at me, thank you, Jesus, one of our local urchins projectiled feces on the window right in front of my class. My issue with that is, first off, I'm glad the way I took care of that. I handled it very nicely. I was able to escort her and get her moved out of the way. I called the police. It took about an hour and a half to respond, which is fine. But the first thing the police officer did when he walked up to me was said, "There's nothing I can do. You need to talk to your city council." That is not what I want to hear from anybody, especially when this is going on. And that's not the attitude I want to hear from anybody coming up to an incident like that either. You know what I mean? So there's a lot going on with a lot of the homelessness, a lot of everything. And I know everybody's trying to work on it. And you can see how the city staff from the top down is getting ground on them. So it's apparent. That's number one. Number two, I got families that are in Andreas Hills, families now live in Andreas Hills. I know, surprising. There's no park. The closest park from Andreas Hills is 2.8 miles to Sunrise Park. So they have to pass all these major thoroughfares, all these major areas to get to any kind of park for any kind of recreation, because the schools' parks are closed. So they can't go to Kauai. The closest park is Sunrise Park. So let's look at the real big plan. That's kind of appalling too as a city. For us growing in the way we're doing for parks and recreation, we need to bring opportunities in for everybody. One last thing, I reach out to different facilities, different places. I've talked to the skate park. They're doing great. That skate park has held it down for they've had a lot going on. They're still running an awesome program. We're working on getting everything squared away for them so they can bring even better programs in. They run a really good one. The lights are looking well. The coping's looking good. So the skate park's doing very well too. So that's a good plus. They're an outside vendor that's run by a separate company, and they're doing a great job. So I want to give kudos to the skate park. Andreas Hills, I've mentioned, and just the homeless issue we're working on at Sunrise Park too. That's my comments. I know I go out for the crew ride too. I'm out there with the crew ride for James O'Jesse. We're going to be bringing that into all low income. So next time, besides doing James O'Jesse, we're going to reach out to Sunrise Park, mobile home estates. We're going to reach out to Coyote Run, try to do a bike ride there. What we're trying to do is show the city any income. I don't care if you're low or high. We're a part of the city. We're here to help. We're here to engage. We want to make opportunities for kids and adults, and we're here to do it. So my feet are on the ground. I'm boots on the ground working for this commission, working for the city. It's all voluntary, and we're just trying to make it better for the next. You know, I hope everybody else's passion is the same way, but that's where I'm at as your chairman, as just Jerry Alcorn, and you know, a business owner, stakeholder, person of 30 years here. I really care about the city. So let's just make it better for the next. Anybody else have any comments?
Christopher does.
I just had a,
Yes.
I just had a question, actually, maybe Jeannie, you know, that police mobile home unit that we had parked there for, is that no more?
Right now it's out of commission, so they can't bring it over because I already asked.
It's out of commission, so what they were implementing is not
No,
there?
it's just, it needs some mechanical work, I think. So they can't bring it over and drive it over and park it.
Wasn't there? Okay, I mean, you know, I was, okay, I mean, I thought there was money for that. No, I'm only coming from a safety, like, because when you're saying like there's a homeless issue again, where it could be unsafe or anything like that, I thought that was the whole point of the funding, was to have that mobile home thing, and it was a deterrent. And heck, even if it doesn't work, just to park it there is a deterrent. So,
Yeah, I asked about it, but right now, this week, it's not operational, so they couldn't bring it over, because that was one of the first things I said too.
okay, cool.
They really are working on the security issues right now. John, your hand's up, sir.
I just was wondering if anybody else read the profile that the Palm Springs Post did on our chairman. It was really great. I think when you read it, everybody knows how passionate you are about everything you're doing for the city. It absolutely made me proud to be part of this commission. And I, like you, try to be as boots on the ground as possible too. You know, I walk my dogs in parks, I drive to parks, I try to talk to the people. I mean, mostly I hear complaints, if I'm honest. Of course, a lot of people will say it's a beautiful, you know, I love living in Palm Springs, it's beautiful, blah, 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 but I want more pickleball courts, or I want better lighting here, or whatever. And that's fine. That's what we're here for, right? We're supposed to be talking to these people and bringing those voices forward, you know, because I have a lot of friends who will ask me, like, how do I attend a city council meeting? And I'm like, how do you not know that? But I'm happy to educate people. So I hope everybody read the profile on Jerry. If you haven't, go find it.
Make me blush. Thank you.
I just want to jump in and say thank you to everybody who helped with the tree planting. I guess I didn't even realize it was since our last meeting, and we had a great turnout. The trees are so nice, and it went really fast. So yay to Stacy Schaefer. Thank you for getting the auger, Stacy. So a lot of the holes were pre-dug, so that was great. And even I helped plant a tree.
It was awesome. I loved it. That was awesome. I see Dieter, your hand's up. Are you done, Jeannie? Sorry. Thank you, ma'am, for the comment. Dieter, yes, sir. Your hand up.
Yeah, just wanted to give Jerry a shout out as well. The article was great. I read it. Doing great work for the community. Came out, helped with the Come Ride With Us bike club event, as well as he's going to try to help us to assist with bringing archery up to the Desert Highland community as well. So that's a good thing. And then the tree planting, we had a good turnout with that as well, as Jenny mentioned. So that was great. And then with the 1 PS picnic, I saw Parks and Recs added the basketball shooting and some other events for the youth. So that was really nice at the picnic, adding the Parks and Recs events. And I did see, Jeannie, I saw you out there dancing with the Soul Line group as well.
And Jody was doing a great job too.
I actually take that class. I'm in that group, Jeannie, just so you know.
Well, I looked at the schedule as I'm doing the slides, and maybe I could come on Friday, so I don't work.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. And for me too, just one last shout out. I'm not trying to go back because we'll spend too much time. The 1 PS picnic. We had the picnic in the park. I hope some of you commissioners attended. I went there. It was well run, put on. Great to see all the different organizations and city. I mean, the city does a lot. You know, that was awesome. It was great to be out there, the 1 PS. And then same with the tree planting too. I think I dug 8 holes at Sunrise Park, put in 8 trees at Sunrise Park. And let me tell you, I got there, it was me and the Sustainability Commission gentlemen were there. We're the only 2 there getting ready to plant. I'm sitting there, okay, we're doing some stuff. I'm throwing some trees in, and lo and behold, I look up, here's a bus, our youth bus pulls up with a whole bunch of a whole bunch of the kids from James O'Jesse come running out. Coach Jerry, hey, come running over. I think we planted a total of 5 trees together, me and the kids. Like, it was the best thing, you know, to see that flourish and going to be growing in our community, you know, these trees over the next how many years. Like, come on, that's priceless. So a shout out to Stacy too for making that happen, and the Arbor Day Foundation. That was an awesome opportunity for our city, and just another great kudos to them too. I can keep going on. Yes, Jody.
I'm just gonna add, I know I saw you guys. I was there planting trees. And I actually invited some kiddos from my school to come out and their families, and they were they didn't start out super excited. They were all sleepy and cranky. And then by the end, they were all super excited because they planted trees. They got to tag them and put their name on them, like, hey, I planted this tree, and, you know, try to talk to them about how you could come back and visit and see how your tree does. And so that was really exciting. I was obviously at the 1 PS picnic. Parks and Recs, you know, always has a great booth set up. And yes, I participate in the city Parks and Recs events too. And I take a line dance class, and I was out there shaking my thing out there. We got a lot of great community, you know, a lot of people jumped up and jumped in, which is fun. Just try to bring a little culture to the community. The kiddos from the Desert Highland Unity drill team and drum squad, they performed there. They turned around and performed at the convention center the week before that for future, what was that? It's through Lift to Rise, and they had like a forum. They've been performing everywhere. And so I wanted to give a shout out to them. They've been doing a fantastic job. And, you know, it's kids, it's the youth. That's what these, you know, Parks and Recs should start young. If we get them young, then we can keep them and we can sustain it. And then when they're old, they can get out and still hustle around a pickleball court or a disc golf course. Not saying that you all are old, but I am, and those are things I can actually do. So anyway, just wanted to shout out. It's been fantastic. We've had a lot going on these last couple months. If you've been attending, it's been fantastic. So there's lots of work to do, and I spent a couple weeks. I've had events out at the Palm Desert Civic Park. Out there in Palm Desert, I did the multiple sclerosis walk on Saturday morning with a group of educators, women, and the week before that, we had another event out there. And I just want to say that's what I'm looking for in a park. There was youth baseball, there was some youth fitness class, there was folks walking, there was so much going on in one park, all right there, from itty bitty people to very, very aged folks. And I really would love to get that grant to put in a park up here. I'm pointing in my neighborhood up here, the end of Sunrise, to service the San Rafael area up here, the Coyote Run Apartments, so that they have access right there in their backyard to recreate and enjoy life as well. So I saw that there is a new park going in right over there in the Dream Homes area in Cathedral City, off of Ramon and Gene Autry, near the new school district building. They got a grant. They got the grant we were trying to get. I don't know how they got it. And that's listed under Cat City, even though I claim it as Palm Springs land over there. So there's lots of work to do, you guys. So nobody can rest. Get busy.
Awesome. All right. Anybody else, any other comments? I can keep giving shout outs too. I can say, we have the LGBTQ pool. They rented out our pavilion. We're having a huge swim meet from them coming into Palm Springs. I mean, Palm Springs is the place to be right now. Parks and Recs is off the hook. We're doing really well. The staff that we have in right now are crushing it. They're doing really good. We're getting ready to do some, I can keep going on. Anyways, at this point, anybody else have any comments? Like I said, I just got shout out for everybody. I love everybody. They're really doing a great job. Anybody got any burning desires?
Hey, just a good shout out to everybody on the board and on the commission. You guys are doing a great job. And Jerry, your enthusiasm is awesome and it's what we needed. And let's, just like Jody said, let's just keep this thing going and trying to get things done. All right. We got to be patient, be cool, but it's good to see everybody. And I'm looking forward to the time where we can actually get together because I'm tired of this Zoom stuff myself. Anyway, I love you guys. Good job, man. I'm really proud. You're doing well.
All right. With that, any other comments? Can I get a motion to close?
So moved.
I got it first by Jody, second by Johnny. Do we need to do a roll call vote on that, or is it just motion to close?
No.
All right. Our next meeting will be April 25th, 2022 at 5:30. Right now it's tentatively via Zoom. Hoping and praying we can get into the room, but right now it's via Zoom.
Yeah.
With that being said,
good night, everybody.
Have a good evening, you guys.
7:28 p.m.